What up, gangsters? It is me, Teja, and I am back for my Thursday installment at Trans Youth Channel. Cha. I look a little bit crazy, but I'm getting ready for bed. It is 11:39. I've got work tomorrow, and so yeah, I'm just getting ready for bed. Is why I look so atrocious. But anyway, some exciting updates. Hair will be new next week, hopefully. And I will be moving soon, so you will see a different background in about 4 more episodes. So, this week's topic isn't necessarily a topic, more or less a discussion that we want to have with you guys. And that is about places for trans people to go in your own community. Now, I am not 100% sure where there is to go all over the world, but I do have some strong connections. As some of you may know, before I transitioned, I was a performer in Vancouver, British Columbia. And by doing so, I was working for a lot of organizations which help the LGBT community and queer and trans youth um, find somewhere to go. Now, if you are in the Vancouver area, Vancouver, British Columbia, there is always the GAB Center, which is GAAB, GAB Center, and that will be located on Davie Street. Now, you can go into any store on Davie Street and they will be able to point you in the direction of the GAB Youth Center. Also, if you look up Outreach Vancouver, you will find the places where they do outreach sessions. And outreach will be spread out throughout the entire lower mainland of British Columbia. So if you research outreach, you can find some in Port Moody, Chilliwack, Abbotsford, I believe, maybe Mission, um, Vancouver, and Burnaby, and places like that. So definitely look for those things. If you are young and you really don't know where to go and you don't find these places available to you, I highly suggest you making the trip down to downtown Vancouver. Go for a walk along Davie Street and literally ask questions, because Davie Street is the gay village and everyone in on that street is LGBT friendly, and they will always be able to tell you who will know where to go and where to go. So that is very important to make sure you ask questions. Just because I know with public funding as well as sponsorship, it's really hard to maintain the same space for these groups to meet at. So they do tend to travel around from place to place. And I haven't been to one of these centers in over a year because I've been in the UK. But definitely keep in contact with that. Also, if you're still stuck on somewhere to go, you're in the Vancouver area, and please make sure um, that, I mean, actually, no. If you are in Canada and you still don't know where to go, the best thing to do is to look up on Facebook some local drag queens that you may know. Now, I don't know some of the drag queens from the other cities, but I know in Prince George you have Sapphire, so definitely look up Sapphire on Facebook. Also, there's Babette Co. Taylor and Celestial Seasons. Those two girls have been running the charity events for the Vancouver area for a very long time, and they are always willing to lend out a helping hand to those who need it, as well as they know all of the drag queens in Canada. Being part of the Vancouver Royal, or being part of Canadian royalty, they have actually connections to centers and programs all across Canada and might be able to point you in the right direction. So it's all about doing your research and knowing who to talk to. But I really want to make emphasis that that applies anywhere and everywhere. Just don't be afraid to ask questions. We've all been at that point, and it's just who to ask. So if you are from, a small town and you don't know any gay people, go to the nearest city. There is usually a gay district or gay area in a big city where you can walk around and ask questions. And believe me, don't be afraid. Everyone in that gay area has been where you have been, and they will be able to point you in the right direction. They might not be able to specifically help you with trans specific issues, but being it the LGBT community, they will be able to point you in a direction in where you can find more resources. And remember, knowledge is power, and all you can do really is ask, right? Now, if you are in England, there are tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of resources available to you. Now, I know that if you Google trans support groups, there is a bunch that will pop up, and they aren't limited by age or whatever or wherever you are in your transition. Half of these women are new, haven't been through transition very long. Some of them have been in transition for a long time. But believe me, knowledge is power, and every single woman in that group or man will have their own view to bring to the table to be able to offer you advice. I mean, that's why you come to us. We all are from different walks of life. We all are in different points in our transition. It might not be the answer that you were expecting or necessarily the answer you want, but it offers you a different perspective on what you're after. So it's really important to make sure you research that. But definitely, Google is a very powerful tool. I know that if you are in the Berkshire area, there are some tea groups down in Southampton as well as in Newbury. But the biggest support group that you can go to is in London. I believe they meet on the first or second Tuesday of every month. But again, if you look up the Gender Identity Clinic for Charing Cross, they'll be able to give you that information. As well as if you Google it, they will give you the addresses, the times, and where to go and where to be. They also have phone lines which you can phone, which you can always use as a resource. Um, Personally, I live about a 20-minute train journey from London, so it is quite easy for me to access London, but at the same time, it's very expensive. So I tend not to go to these support groups, but because I'm moving, I will be able to go to them more often. Also, when I started my transition, I started adding as many trans girls as I could from my area, and I started talking to them and whatnot. And believe me, there are a lot of girls out there. um, Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I've got a sinus infection, and it's horrible. But so yeah, I added a bunch of girls to Facebook, and they've been able to give me directions and point me in the right places. I will say, from my observations of England, the biggest trans areas are Birmingham, Brighton, London, and yeah, Birmingham, Brighton, and London have been the three biggest trans areas that I've been able to pick up on. So if you want something where you can be engulfed in trans culture or trans people or be accessible to a large quantity of trans groups, those three areas will probably be the richest in trans people. Um, Now, if you are still don't know where to go, and you are in the UK and you feel like you haven't done made you feel like you haven't been able to find what you're looking for, don't hesitate to ask me. You can send me a message to my personal page, which is xoquestionmarkox, or you can try and find me on Facebook, which is Teja Mariana Lane, and you can definitely get in contact with me that way. I don't have a problem with answering you guys' questions about where to go in terms of trans groups. I know it probably isn't all of the answers. I know it's probably not very specific, but me personally, I haven't been involved in a lot of trans groups since I moved to England as I have when I was back home. But those are the resources that I know of. If you guys know of any trans groups in any area that you're in, maybe it's not England, maybe it's not Canada, maybe it is in South Africa, maybe it's in Germany, maybe it is in Thailand, I don't know. But if you are a viewer and you are watching this, I want you to identify at least one or two support groups that you know of, whether it be an actual meeting or a group that joins together once a month or whatever, or a phone line, and leave the information down in below in the comments, because that is really important. I would like this to be a big kind of plethora and network of um, trans communication. So if someone needs somewhere to go, they will be able to find it within this thread. So feel free to make a video response, leave a comment, send us a message, let us know so we can get the information out there, because being supportive and together as a trans community is so hugely important. And in order to make leeway in LGBT rights, especially transgender rights, we need to stick together, we need to band together. One other thing before I wrap up this video is I assume a lot of you have heard about the recent banning of Ms. Vancouver from the Ms. Universe pageant because of the fact that she was transgendered. Now, this woman has been in many pageants all over the world and won titles. She's extremely beautiful, and she's been disqualified for the simple fact that, as they state, she was not born female. So if you don't agree with that, I urge you to go over to my page. I just had made a video about it. There's a link in the video below where you can click and sign the petition to reinstate her into the competition. I believe we're at 39,000 signatures and we need 50,000 to have her reinstated, and to have the rule abolished, because that is absolutely bogus. You know, be it you're a trans woman or a cisgendered woman, you're still a woman at the end of the day, and you should be able to advocate for the world, and it should not be limited to cisgendered women, because there are an equal amount of trans women out there who want to make a difference in this world. So thank you guys for watching my Thursday installment of Trans Youth. I hope you are all well. Remember to love and respect yourself, stay positive, and I can't wait to read your guys' comments, because I'm going to start needing to look for some trans groups myself. So until next time, you guys, have fun, be safe, and most of all, love yourself. Bye.